Welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Martineau
and Caitlin Cipriano. In this podcast, we talk about fitness and nutrition on your motherhood journey. Whether you are trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, or beyond, you are welcome here.
Nothing is off limits, and our goal is to support you in this important season of life so that you can feel vibrantly you. As a reminder, this information is not medical advice. Please see the show notes for more details.
Welcome back to the Vibrantly You podcast. Today we're going to be talking about things that we actually used in the fourth trimester and things that we didn't. We thought this would be like just a fun conversation, especially if you're someone who is putting together a baby registry right now and you're trying to figure out what you actually need before the baby arrives. And Megan, I see this question like on threads and stuff all the time, like, what do I actually need? And I think so many of us get caught up in this topic of like must have and the gadgets and like all the things. And so we're hoping that maybe this will like save you some time, save you some money, or maybe even realize, oh, this is something that I do want to make sure I add to my registry. So, Meg, why don't we start out with like things that were on our registry for baby number one before we knew anything.
Yeah, so I think it's really easy to, especially like in the social media age that we're in, like get caught up in like what everyone else is using. And like when we were having our first babies back in 2020, also pregnant in like that 2019 time frame, like that was like influencers, we're taking over the internet. So it was like influencers posting of like what you need, these must have items. And it was like my baby registry list was so long, like miles long.
Yes.
Like
Same.
so many things. Like I thought I needed like multiple bassinets, like a regular bassinet, one of the snoo things, or like different bouncers. Like they might want this bouncer and then I might need that bouncer. And just yeah, trying to have like all the different options just in case. And yeah, just trying to get all the like hot items that people are posting on social media. So things that like I can remember that I definitely had on my list were the Hatch, the, nightlight
Yes.
sound machine. Obviously, I had a bassinet. I did end up just going with like a normal like bedside bassinet that didn't do anything fancy. Did have a swing, did get a bouncer, had a couple different carriers. The diaper genie. I did talk myself out of the wipe warmer, but that was on my registry. A bunch of different bottles, like the really cute, aesthetically pleasing pacifiers. All the cute, like newborn and 3-month clothes, all the breastfeeding accessories, like nipple butter, the Silverette cups. Those used to be really big. I don't know if they still are. Like nursing bras, all that kind of stuff. And then all of like the postpartum accessories. So I had gotten like that Freedom Mom, postpartum kit that had like the underwear, the peri bottle, like all that stuff.
That one's worth it.
Yeah. The like changing table, different diapers. I even got cloth diapers because I was very ambitious. I even remember too, like having all the different kinds of like activity mats. Like I had a regular activity mat. I had a specific tummy time mat. I had the one that had like the wooden like cute things that hung down that was different from the other two
Yes.
mats.
Oh my
So many
gosh.
mats and like activity
Yeah.
centers. Um, Contrast cards, like all these like little things. Um, and I'm sure there's like tons and tons of stuff that I'm forgetting.
No, I feel like you hit on like a lot of them. Um, the like Hatch sound machine was like such a big one, but I do feel like that one is like works really well and
Oh yeah.
is worth it. Like we have two. We have two now. And my son's 5 and he still like likes to have the waves playing in the
Yeah.
background. So, I don't know. And at least in our experience, that one gets the mileage out of
And
things
those
and feels worth it.
Yeah, and those are nice for like toddlers and like older kids. Like at the time of us recording this, it's almost New Year's Eve. And so Christmas just happened, and the hatch came in so handy for us for my 5-year-old on Christmas because we scheduled it to turn green when he could wake up on Christmas morning and come out of his room. So it's the gift
Beautiful.
that keeps on giving.
And then the other thing you said too, was like all of the different like tummy time and play masks. I feel like we had like the Laveri like wooden one, which
hmm
is really nice. And because we had multiple kids, I feel like got good use out of it. Like we've been able to pass it down to a friend, you know. So that's another thing too that I think people should consider is like checking in with your friends that have like maybe already like had ki kids like that are in like position that like you are Ira and now is like see if they have anything that they want to like get rid of and are done.
Or
It's because you can make your baby registry not quite so overwhelming and snag things that are still in like really good condition.
yeah, or look on Facebook Marketplace, or if you have a
Yeah.
local buy nothing group, like that's where I gave away so much stuff was my local buy nothing group because once my kids were done with it, I'm like, I want it out of the house.
Yeah.
It's usually still in pretty good condition, you know?
Hmm.
And not all of these things need to be brand new. Like maybe
No.
with like a bassinet or like a crib. Like I could see wanting to go brand new for things like that. A car seat, obviously. But
Yeah.
like some of these things, like it gently used works perfectly well.
Yeah, I think a lot of this you can get gently used. Yeah, like you said, obviously, like making sure like the car seat and the crib and stuff you probably want to get new, just based on regulations that are
hmm
always changing, and that kind of thing. But a lot of stuff you can, you know, find if you're in a situation where you maybe can't afford to like get everything brand new. Um, oh, the other thing that I remember first time was thinking that we needed to have a monitor that like connected with our
Oh,
phones. And this
hmm
ended up being like the worst for us. Um, we lived in the place at time that like didn't have like the best like cell phone and like Wi-Fi signal. And it was just like such a pain. And so we ended up actually just like purchasing the like one that has the little handheld. It's like not connected to the internet or anything like that. And I know a lot of people now have even since then had like just like the concerns, with their systems getting like hacked
hmm
and stuff, which is super creepy. So definitely recommend like a monitor that is not connected to your phone.
Yeah, we did the same thing, and I can't even remember the name of it now. It started with an M, but it was similar to like the Nanit monitor, where like it didn't have like a wearable, but like the monitor could somehow measure their breathing rate or something, and that stupid thing would go off all the time when he was breathing. Like, or like if we'd get him up in the middle of the night for a diaper change, like the alarm would go off, and it was like terrible for my nervous system in the middle of the night, even though it was like I knew my husband had gotten him up, change his diaper. But then, you hear the alarm and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. And it would always freeze or glitch, or like if you were in a different app on your phone and tried to switch back, there'd be like a 20-30 second lag time. Yeah, it was terrible. We switched to a normal monitor pretty
Yeah.
quickly. And I was like, this is so much better. I mean, I guess the only downfall is like if you have a babysitter or something and you wanted to like remotely check in to the baby monitor, it'd be nice to have a Wi-Fi one, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise I think the old school ones are better.
Yeah. Go. Not all new tech is necessarily like the best fit for you. So that do your research, do your research with what you feel like is best for you and your family. But yeah, I think sometimes with those products, they can cause like more anxiety than is often needed, unless you know like your kid does have a specific medical condition and that's been recommended by like their provider type of
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah.
I know we were talking about like actual postpartum things for like mom. Like what do you need to put on your like registry for yourself? Because I think a lot of moms don't think about this part, but like you need stuff for you to take care of yourself too. And like Meg said, the Freedom Mom like kit is awesome. And this has like an angled peri bottle, which those work so much better. So much better than the regular one that they give you at the hospital. So bring that one in your hospital bag too. Um, the like sort of like mesh or cotton like postpartum underwear is hugely helpful. Um, there's also, I think, I don't know if this is in the kit or it's separate, but they basically have like padsicles. They're these big, like, sort of like ice packs essentially for after. And I do feel like the first week or two after they are very, very helpful. Um, the witch hazel pads, the tucks, are great as well. And what is there anything else that's like in that sort of like care
That
space that
kit,
I'm forgetting?
yeah, that kit specifically also has like that foam. Do you remember that like witch hazel
Oh,
foam?
yes.
Super
That's nice
weird,
too.
but it actually was really nice.
Yeah. No, totally. And I think yeah, like you're typically the nurse that you have, like, well, you're if you're in like a hospital setting or even if you are in, if you're having like a home birth, I'm sure that your midwife or doula would like assist you with like showing you how to do this kind of care as well. But it definitely makes a huge difference. And like staying on top of that, I think is just like a really nice way that you like can control and take care of,
Yeah.
yourself. Um,
And I'll say too,
Postpartum.
like I had gotten that like Freedom Mom kit that had all that stuff the first time, and I ended up with a C-section, so I didn't end up needing like the padsicles, the witch hazel pads, the peri bottle, stuff like that. But I mean, the mesh underwear was still really nice. Um, and those padsicles, 'cause they're essentially like ice packs that you would put in your underwear. I
Yeah.
used those to put on my C-section scar,
Oh,
which
that's
felt
smart.
really good. Or when I was engorged, I would put them on my boobs. So they can
Yeah.
serve another purpose, but also too, like if you're unsure of like, I don't know if I want to buy this like before I have a baby, because what if I do have a C-section? Even like asking people for gift cards, like specifically for you to purchase postpartum stuff after the baby has come, I think
Yeah.
is also a good idea.
Totally. Totally. And I think another thing for like for yourself that can be really helpful that we also don't talk about in this like fourth trimester time period that you can also put like on a registry is like either like some kind of meal train setup or like gift cards for like like food specifically, but being able to like have people sort of like contribute to your meals is so helpful, especially if you don't have a lot of like family and friends that are close by. Like I know I didn't have this the first time around with my son because he was born March 2020, right at the beginning of COVID. Um, but when we had my daughter, my son's daycare provider like set up like a meal train for us, and it was just like so nice for the first couple of weeks to not have to make meal, every single meal. So that would be something that I don't see a lot of, but of course something that I think about as a nutritionist is just like, yeah, like can you set something up so people can contribute meals to help yourself? Because it's hard. You're
Yeah.
tired. You're
Or even
tired and
like Yeah, even like DoorDash, like gift cards, or
Yeah.
stuff like that. My son was also born during COVID, but a little bit later in the fall. But we had friends, yeah, send us DoorDash, and that was definitely helpful just to have our meals show up at the door. So, okay, so out of all of these things that we've kind of mentioned with baby number one, is there anything, Caitlin, that you absolutely did not use? Because there are certainly things that I did not use.
I'm trying to think. I think the big thing that we talked about was that monitor. Like that was like we didn't like we didn't use that at all, you know. Um and had to switch and buy a different one. So I feel like that was the one of the things that I was like so gung ho about having. And we ended up needing to do something different. The other thing that I know you put on your list that was like opposite for me was like a wipe warmer. I was like he's not gonna need a wipe warmer. Like that's so silly. But like he actually really hated having a cold wipe. So so my mother-in-law ended up like buying one for us like after the fact. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, I think those are like the two things that stick out for me.
Yeah, for me, like the things that I didn't end up using with my son were carriers. He just didn't really care for them, and I don't know. We just never used them. I think we were also just home all the time, so there was not like necessarily a need for it. Um, and he slept well in his bassinet in his crib, or he was sleeping on us. That was like, if we were laying on the couch watching TV or something. So I like didn't use any of my carriers with him. And the cute pacifiers were all a waste of money because there was only one kind of pacifier that he liked. So I don't know. If you're planning to use a pacifier, I would maybe get like two of like the big brands, like get one of each, see what your baby likes first, and then you get more of that kind. Because I find it like just talking to so many different moms, everyone's baby likes one kind of pacifier and one only, and it's never the same as someone else's baby. So don't
Absolutely.
waste your time on the cute pacifiers because usually those are the ones that they don't like. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Luca wouldn't even take a pacifier, but and that was the other thing. We had like an assortment of like bottles and not like a ton of pacifiers, but like I don't know, I think we use Baby List for our registry and you can get like sort of like kits that have like f 4 or 5 bottles and like 4 or 5 pacifiers. And so like I just did that because like oh I don't know. And he refused to take a bottle basically. Like there's a very short window of time where he would take a bottle um and a pacifier and then he just like refused them. So
mhm.
um that's probably a whole nother podcast topic. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I feel like that's the same thing with the bottles too. Like babies are so particular about what kind of bottles and like nipples that they prefer. Like yeah, if you're exclusively
just
breastfeeding,
mine.
they might not take a bottle, but even like I ended up pumping with my son, so I was giving him bottles. There was only one bottle that he liked, and I had bought a bunch of different ones. So, again, like maybe don't go too crazy before your baby's arrived with like different pacifiers and bottles because most likely there was only one of each that they will take. And so wait till you figure that out before you buy more. I will also say the cute newborn and 3-month clothes are a waste of money because they just have blowouts and spit up all over themselves and they ruin the cute clothes. So maybe get like one or two outfits if you plan to go out and you do want them in something cute. But if you're just like chilling at home, like just a
You
white
just need
onesie
onesie.
that you're gonna
I
throw
was like, you
away
just need onesies and you just need pajamas with zippers.
with
Don't get
zippers.
ones with buttons.
Yes.
Zippers.
Same with swaddles. Like, don't go crazy on the cute swaddles. Like, get the functional ones that like zip or Velcro because I don't know. For me, swaddling was a disaster, like trying to actually figure out a swaddle.
Luca hated swaddles, so I did that too. I bought like a bunch of super like fun swaddles, and then yeah, we couldn't even really like use them because we had to switch to a sleep sack because he wouldn't stay in the swaddles no
Yeah.
matter like how good we did them.
I feel like that's the moral of this conversation is like your kid is gonna know what they like pretty early on. And so sometimes it's better to wait until they've arrived and you can like try something and then, see like what it is that they like. Even the swaddles, I remember I bought so many different kinds and then he didn't like any of
Yes.
the ones that I had. And so then I had to buy even more kinds. Like I just like bought too many of each one, and then it was just like then they were all a waste. And it's
Yeah.
interesting. Even like, yeah, well, okay, so if we move on to like baby number two now, so now
Yeah.
being a more seasoned parent, is there anything that you didn't use that maybe you used the first time?
I'm trying to think. My daughter definitely like did use a pacifier where my first didn't. And so that was like I hadn't really bought many like pacifiers. I think I like kept some from like that he didn't use, but she didn't like any
Mm-hmm.
like any of those. So I did end up having to buy like another type of pacifier to figure out what she would take. Um, so that was interesting. Otherwise, I feel like we kind of like, had all of the things already that were like major, in terms of that whole, we already had like carriers and the mats and all of that stuff. So the only thing that was really like I would say like different that I had to do was probably the pacifier situation. And I was really lucky because my sister had a daughter, so we were able to get like a lot of hand-me-downs from them. So I didn't have to like, use use my mental capacity on trying to figure out, the clothing situation. We didn't really have to like get much there.
Yeah, I wish I had had more gender neutral stuff the first time so that like clothing wise, so that I could have reused a lot of it. Because I mean, some things I was able to hold on to, but a lot of the boy stuff, it's like dinosaurs and trucks, and I'm like, I'm not putting that on my baby girl. So I
Yeah,
kind of wish, like, yeah, for the first baby, I had maybe gone a little more gender neutral, because then those could have been reused,
totally.
whether you have a boy or a girl the second time. I will say the second time around, we had gotten rid of some of the mats we had because, like I said, I had a tummy time mat. I had another thing that was cute. I had a regular. I I pared down. I had one mat. And that was what and she didn't even like it, so it didn't matter. A lot of times I would just like spread out a blanket, and that's where she would be. She didn't care for the mat really. Because the second time we were more on the go. So used a lot of carriers. That was the only thing that she liked. She was not interested in a swing, not interested in a bouncer. She wanted to be on my body all the time. So the second time used tons of carriers, different carriers, which the first time I didn't use at all. Um, we also got rid of the changing table. Instead, I just had the changing pad and I would just change her
Oh, I did
wherever.
that differently. Yeah, I
Yep.
forgot about that. Yeah, we had a changing table that was separate with my son, and it was really annoying to have to like clean the like sheet that went
Mm-hmm.
over it every like pee or poop.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we got just the like mat what that's like the what is that called? It's like a peanut mat or
Yeah. I don't
I
remember
can't
what
think
it's
of the
called. Yeah.
term. And it was like silicone, so you just had to like wipe it down in between, and that was so much easier. I was like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
wish that I had known about that thing the first time.
Yeah, changing the mat on the changer table is horrendous, especially like in the middle of the night, because then you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to use this again. No, yeah, no, no, thank you. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we didn't really use. But yeah, I feel like the second time it was mostly like she was in the carrier. We were on the go a lot. I didn't need bottles because I exclusively breastfed her the second time. Um, yeah. I also, one thing though that I didn't do was use a bassinet with her, but that was because her crib was in our room. Because before her room became her room, it was our office space. So I was like, oh, I'll just have her room in with us, for the first 6 months before we give up our office space. And then I was like, why do I have a bassinet when the crib is 3 feet away? So I was able to get rid of the bassinet, which was kind of nice. Um, and yeah, same thing with like the newborn clothes, 3 month clothes. We just kept it simple. But yeah, I think one thing too, just as we start to wrap up this episode, is as you're planning your registry and just like getting ready for baby, is don't forget about yourself. Like we kind of already talked about, like getting those postpartum items. But even just thinking to like, what is going to make your life easier in those first few months and what are you going to need in terms of like healing and functioning. Something that I always like to think of too when I'm looking at people's registries or like thinking of what to get new moms is even like postpartum doula support, like even just like covering a night for somebody where they have a postpartum doula come to their house and do an overnight so they can get sleep. Even if you're breastfeeding, the doula gets the baby up, brings them to your bed, you feed them, they take the baby and they put them back to sleep, so that you can kind of maximize sleep. Um, or even just like if you have a friend having a baby, just like offering to go over and clean their house for them, postpartum. Um, but just, I think we get so caught up in like, what does the baby need? And we often forget what the mom needs. So I think that's an important thing
Absolutely.
to remember.
I think that's a good point. And wrapping up is just, yeah, make sure that you're not forgetting yourself in the process and that you have these kinds of supports in place and you've thought about them ahead of time because it's not something that you're going to be thinking about once the baby is there. Like, so make sure you feel like you've done some research in those support pieces for yourself. So I think that's a good reminder and good place for us to wrap up. If you found this episode helpful, please share with a friend. Please rate and review this podcast. We'd love to hear from you. If you have topics going into 2026 that you would love to hear from us, please let us know. You can find Megan over on Instagram at Vibrant Mama Wellness, and you can find me over on Instagram at Wholesome Huntress Nutrition. We will see you back next week.